I just finished my walking. I did 119 steps. Um, these bad boys that I got on me right now are very comfy. They don't hurt my feet or irritate them. They're comfy to walk on. They're just hard to put on, that's all. So I thought I'd touch base on that. Just finished my walking. What did I got here? No. Finished my walking and then, yeah, we got snow this morning. Um, these guys away. I got snow this morning and then we got snow and oh shoot, I forgot my check again. Shoot. So there's 119 steps this morning. Okay. 119 steps. Oh yeah, my check. 119 steps and let's see. See how much I have in here. Oh, give it to me. I forgot. I always forget. I made, let's see, 11.25. 11.25. 11.25. Wow. 11.25. Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll just put some noise on here. Oh, yeah. 11.25. Wow. That's not even enough. 11.25. I'll be right back. Just let me. Just a second. And it's kind of hard to put that picture on. Wait, just let me get this to
For the love of love. Bumble. Start your love story.
In North Carolina, a tragic car accident is blamed for the death of a 45-year-old woman. But a routine investigation raises more questions than answers. And police soon learn that things aren't always as they appear to be. A mother of 6 is found brutally murdered in her Florida home. The forensic evidence points detectives to a suspect. But his whereabouts and the motive behind the murder remain a mystery. For some killers, murder can be a profitable business. And when a victim has been targeted for death, homicide investigators must look beyond the obvious to uncover a murder for County rescue workers made their way down the cliff, hopeful they would find survivors. When the rescue worker entered the vehicle, a piece of cinder block stained with blood fell out of the van. A woman laid slumped across the front seat. She had suffered massive head injuries. There was no pulse. The body was removed from the vehicle and sent to the morgue for examination. North Carolina State Police began looking for clues to tell them how and why the vehicle went off the road. No skid marks or any signs of sudden braking were found. And there were no indications that the driver had swerved off the road. It was likely that the woman had fallen asleep at the wheel or had been under the influence of drugs or alcohol. The van was brought up the embankment for a more detailed evaluation. A check on the vehicle's tags revealed that the van was registered to a man named Edward Kratzer, whose address was several hundred miles away in Bradenton, Florida. After finding no obvious mechanical problems with the van, technicians processed the vehicle. Reddish-brown stains were found on the exterior of the driver's side door. They tested positive for human blood. Inside, they recovered a wallet and driver's license. The driver was identified as 45-year-old Wendy Kratzer, the wife of the vehicle's owner. Blood was found throughout the van. The back of an earring was located on the passenger seat floor. Unsure what to make of the findings, investigators collected several items into evidence. Transylvania County authorities began trying to track down the victim's family to inform them of Wendy's tragic death. At autopsy, medical examiner Dr. Robert Thompson looked to the victim for clues that could explain the crash. He found no traces of drugs or alcohol in the victim's blood or tissue. Wendy's death had resulted from blunt force injuries to the head. She had suffered 5 individual fractures to the top and back of her skull. Though Wendy had not been wearing a seatbelt, for Dr. Thompson, the location and number of injuries were not typical of car crash victims.
Usually injuries that we find with automobile accidents are those in the face areas where the face comes down and hits the dashboard. So the injuries that are found are not really consistent with the automobile accident, although conceivably it could have happened that way.
The autopsy results prompted investigators from the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation to take a closer look at Wendy Kratzer's accident. Special agent and blood spatter expert Andy Klein reviewed photographs taken at the scene. He was immediately struck by the lack of blood found where the victim's body came to rest.
From the position that she came to rest in with her head in the passenger side floorboard, and with the wound being to the top and the back of her head, I would have expected to see a larger pool of blood in that floorboard had she received that wound in the van.
More troubling, however, was the presence of the victim's blood on the vehicle's exterior running board.
There was several blood spatters that I noted on the running board portion of the vehicle that would have been protected had the door been shut. So at some point the door was open and she bled on it.
All of the evidence suggested that Wendy Kratzer had been bleeding before she ever got into the van. The routine death investigation had raised more questions than answers. Police learned that Wendy and her husband owned a vacation home a few miles away from the scene of the accident. Later that night, authorities went to the address. No one appeared to be home. Then, they discovered a large pool of blood. Tests later confirmed it had come from Wendy Kratzer. An earring back, identical to the one found inside the van, was located a few inches away. Technicians concluded that no one could have survived such blood loss without immediate medical attention. Nearby, investigators found the outline of an object. Its shape was similar to the blood-stained cinder block found inside the van. For police, there could be no doubt that Wendy Kratzer had been brutally murdered. Her death had been staged to appear as an accident. After obtaining a warrant, the team made their way into the residence, unsure of what or who they might find. No one was home, and the residence showed no signs of forced entry or ransacking. Investigators thoroughly photographed the scene. They also collected numerous personal items and papers that belonged to the victim. Now, investigators had to determine who had killed Wendy and why. Pennsylvania County Police were eager to question Wendy's husband, Ed. He was tracked down to his home in Bradenton, Florida.